Imagine this for a moment. The man in your life, the one who seems confident, collected, and in control, is lying next to you during the most vulnerable moments of intimacy, and there's something he's craving that he will probably never tell you out loud. It's not what you think. It's not about technique or performance. It's something far deeper, something that, if you understood it, could completely change the way he connects with you, not just in the bedroom, but in the relationship as a whole. When it comes to intimacy, one of the deepest yet least spoken desires men carry is the need for emotional safety. On the surface, society paints a picture of men as confident, self-assured, and naturally dominant when it comes to physical connection. They are often expected to know what to do, how to do it, and to deliver a flawless performance every time. This cultural expectation places enormous pressure on men, making intimacy feel more like a test to pass rather than an opportunity to connect. Beneath this polished exterior, however, is a more human truth. What men want during intimacy is not perfection in performance, but the reassurance that they can be vulnerable without being judged or ridiculed. Many men struggle with the idea of expressing fear, insecurity, or emotional need in a romantic setting. From a young age, boys are conditioned to suppress their softer emotions. Phrases like "man up" or "don't be weak" create an internal belief that vulnerability equates to failure. When these men grow into adults, they bring that armor into their intimate relationships. They may want to let their guard down, but the fear of disappointing their partner or appearing inadequate keeps them from doing so. In these moments, the craving for emotional safety becomes even more important. Emotional safety means a partner who accepts their imperfections, communicates reassurance through touch or words, and creates an environment where men feel they don't have to live up to an impossible standard. This desire for safety shows itself in subtle ways. A man may hesitate before opening up about his insecurities. He might downplay his feelings or laugh them off to avoid embarrassment. Yet what he truly wants is to know that intimacy is not a stage where he must always perform, but a space where he can simply exist as himself. When he feels emotionally safe, physical intimacy becomes less about proving his masculinity and more about creating a genuine bond. It allows him to stop worrying about being judged for what he does and instead focus on how he feels in the connection. There is also an unspoken fear of rejection tied to this need. If a man feels that one mistake, one awkward moment, or one lapse in confidence could lead to his partner withdrawing affection, he will carry that weight silently. This fear robs him of presence in the moment. On the other hand, when a partner communicates acceptance, whether through kind words, gentle encouragement, or even simple patience, it transforms the entire experience. That reassurance builds trust, and with trust, men find the courage to lower the walls they've been taught to keep high. The irony is that while men are often cast as emotionally invulnerable, they are perhaps the ones who crave emotional safety the most. Intimacy for them is not only about physical closeness, but about the comfort of being seen without criticism. It is about knowing that they can reveal their softer side without being made to feel weak. Emotional safety creates a foundation where a man doesn't just show up as a lover, but as a whole human being. Flaws, fears, and all. When this safety exists, intimacy evolves into something far richer. The focus shifts away from pressure and performance, and instead it becomes about connection, trust, and authenticity. In that space, men feel free, not because they are perfect, but because they are accepted. And that freedom, more than anything else, is what makes intimacy truly fulfilling for them. Validation and reassurance are two things men deeply crave during intimacy, yet they rarely voice this need out loud. Much of the time, men are perceived as confident and self-assured, but the reality is far more complex. Beneath the surface, there is often a quiet question lingering in their minds. Am I enough? This question does not only apply to their physical abilities, but also to their emotional and relational worth. While society teaches women that they are valued for their beauty, men are often taught that their value is tied to their strength, performance, or ability to provide. In intimate moments, those external pressures do not vanish. In fact, they intensify. Men want to feel chosen, desired, and appreciated, but pride and conditioning prevent them from asking for it directly. Validation plays a subtle yet powerful role in intimacy. When a partner expresses genuine attraction, admiration, or appreciation, it reassures a man that he is not just performing a role, but that he is truly wanted. This validation can come in the form of verbal praise, small affirmations, or even the way a partner responds during closeness. What may seem like a simple compliment can have a profound impact on his confidence. It tells him that he is not invisible, that his efforts matter, and that he is more than just a body in the room. Men want to feel that their presence has significance, and intimacy becomes the space where that desire for recognition is amplified. Reassurance goes hand in hand with validation, but carries its own unique importance. Men often hold silent fears of inadequacy. They wonder if they are strong enough, attentive enough, or satisfying enough to their partner. Even if these fears are unspoken, they weigh heavily during moments of closeness. Reassurance alleviates these fears by communicating acceptance and satisfaction. When a partner conveys through words, touch, or even simple enthusiasm that they are content and happy, it quiets those insecurities. This kind of reassurance doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. Often, the smallest gestures carry the greatest meaning. The absence of validation and reassurance can create distance. If a man feels unnoticed or unappreciated, he may begin to detach emotionally. Even if he continues to show up physically, he may fulfill the motions of intimacy, but without the depth of connection that comes from feeling genuinely valued. Over time, this lack of affirmation can build into silent resentment or self-doubt. Conversely, when validation and reassurance are present, they foster confidence and openness. A man who feels desired and appreciated will show up more vulnerably, more attentively, and with greater emotional presence. It is important to recognize that men are not seeking endless praise or ego stroking. What they crave is authenticity. Forced words or insincere gestures will not satisfy this need, because men, like anyone else, can sense when reassurance is hollow. What matters is that validation comes from a place of truth, from a partner who genuinely sees and appreciates who they are. Authentic validation tells a man that he is not being measured against unrealistic expectations, but is valued exactly as he is in that moment. This craving for validation and reassurance highlights the emotional side of intimacy that is often overlooked. Men may not voice it, but they long to know that their presence brings joy, that their efforts are meaningful, and that they are enough. When they receive this affirmation, it removes the heavy burden of doubt and allows them to engage in intimacy, not as someone trying to prove themselves, but as someone free to connect, give, and receive fully. When people think of intimacy, it is easy to assume it is only about the physical act, but for men, one of the deepest cravings is connection beyond the physical. While the physical expression of closeness is important, it is not the whole story. What truly matters is whether they feel seen, understood, and accepted by their partner. This deeper layer of intimacy is where men often find fulfillment, though it is rarely spoken about openly. Physical closeness without emotional connection can feel hollow, and men are far more sensitive to that emptiness than they usually admit. What they want is to know that the bond they share is not limited to the body, but rooted in mutual care, respect, and recognition. Connection beyond the physical begins with presence. For many men, the most powerful moments are not defined by intensity, but by attention. They crave those experiences where their partner is fully engaged, not distracted or detached. The smallest details, such as eye contact, tone of voice, or gentle gestures, carry enormous weight. These cues tell them that they are not just participating in an act, but sharing something meaningful. It transforms intimacy from a temporary release into a shared experience that reinforces love and security. This is why men place such value on feeling emotionally connected, because it bridges the gap between desire and genuine closeness. There is also a deep longing to be understood without words. Men are often less practiced at articulating their emotional needs, yet they hope their partner can sense what they cannot always express. When a partner pays attention to the subtleties of their moods, fears, or unspoken desires, it builds a sense of being known on a profound level. This is not about reading minds, but about showing genuine curiosity and empathy. To a man, knowing that his partner sees past the exterior into who he really is creates a connection that no physical touch can replicate. Intimacy becomes the place where he feels not only wanted, but truly understood. Acceptance plays a central role in this deeper connection. Men, like anyone else, carry insecurities and imperfections. The pressure to be strong, capable, and flawless often makes them hide the parts of themselves they fear will be rejected. Yet what they crave most is acceptance of the whole self, not just the curated version they present. When a partner embraces their vulnerabilities as well as their strengths, it creates freedom. That freedom allows them to drop the mask and show up authentically. The result is a bond where intimacy is no longer about proving worth, but about celebrating connection. What makes this need particularly powerful is the contrast between physical desire and emotional fulfillment. The physical aspect of intimacy may satisfy in the moment, but without emotional connection, it leaves something missing. Men may not always be able to describe what feels absent, but they feel the difference. When the emotional bond is present, physical closeness becomes amplified. Every gesture carries meaning, and every moment together feels richer. It is no longer just about release, but about unity. This is the part of intimacy men long for most, even if they rarely admit it outright. Ultimately, connection beyond the physical is about depth. Men want intimacy that reassures them they are more than their roles, their bodies, or their abilities. They want intimacy that tells them they are seen, valued, and loved for who they are at their core. When that connection exists, intimacy transforms from a fleeting act into a lasting expression of trust and love, and it is in this space that men feel truly complete. Affection without expectation is one of the most overlooked yet deeply desired aspects of intimacy for men. While the world often portrays men as being primarily driven by physical desire, the truth is more layered. Men, like anyone else, long for closeness and tenderness that is not always tied to sex. They crave hugs, kisses, gentle touches, and simple gestures of love that do not carry the pressure of leading somewhere else. These moments of pure affection reassure them that they are valued not only for what they can provide in the bedroom, but also for who they are outside of it. The idea of affection without expectation speaks to a man's need to feel loved in a way that is unconditional. Too often, physical touch can become transactional, where one partner assumes that closeness must always serve as a signal for something more. When affection comes with strings attached, it can create a sense of pressure and obligation. Men may enjoy the intimacy, but deep down they begin to wonder whether they are being loved for who they are or only for what they can do. A soft touch on the arm, a kiss on the forehead, or even holding hands while walking together tells a man that he is cherished for simply existing, not for meeting a demand. This kind of affection also nurtures emotional security. Men often carry the weight of being the initiators, expected to drive intimacy forward. While many embrace this role, it can also leave them feeling uncertain about whether their partner genuinely desires them. Affection that is freely given, without expectation, erases that doubt. It communicates, I want to be close to you because I love you, not because I need something from you. That message carries profound reassurance. It creates an atmosphere where men can relax, where their worth is affirmed outside of performance or outcome. The absence of affection without expectation can leave men feeling starved for closeness. If every touch seems to signal an agenda, they may begin to associate affection only with duty rather than connection. Over time, this can lead to a subtle emotional distance, even if the physical side of the relationship continues. Men may fulfill their role, but they do so without feeling nurtured or emotionally held. On the other hand, when affection is given freely, it fills a different kind of need, one that strengthens trust and deepens love. The small, everyday gestures become as significant as the larger, more obvious moments of intimacy. This desire for affection is not about weakness, but about being human. Men want to feel that their partners enjoy closeness with them in the simplest ways. A hand resting on the chest during a quiet moment, a spontaneous hug, or a playful touch while laughing together builds connection that sex alone cannot create. These gestures remind them that love is not conditional, that they are wanted for more than their bodies. The comfort of knowing they are loved outside the bedroom makes the times inside it feel even more meaningful. At its core, affection without expectation is about reassurance, connection, and balance. Men long for the kind of intimacy where closeness is an expression of love rather than a prelude to something else. When they experience this, they no longer feel pressured to constantly perform or initiate. Instead, they feel cherished in a way that is genuine and grounding. That sense of being held, valued, and loved for who they are brings a deeper satisfaction than anything fleeting. It is in these small, unconditional gestures that men often find the truest form of intimacy. The freedom to express desires is something men deeply crave during intimacy, yet it is often the hardest thing for them to admit. From a young age, many men are taught to hold back their emotions and suppress their true feelings out of fear of being judged, mocked, or rejected. This conditioning follows them into adulthood and, more specifically, into their relationships. When it comes to intimacy, they may carry desires, fantasies, or even simple preferences that they are hesitant to share. The silence is not because these desires are absent, but because they fear that being honest about them might make them appear strange, demanding, or even less respectable in their partner's eyes. For men, expressing desires is not simply about physical pleasure. It is about being able to show their authentic selves without the fear of negative consequences. When they hold back, it often creates a quiet frustration that lingers beneath the surface. They may go along with what is expected, but deep inside, they long for a space where they can open up freely. The act of voicing a desire is an act of vulnerability, and vulnerability always carries risk. The risk is that the partner might dismiss it, criticize it, or worse, withdraw emotionally. That fear of rejection is enough to keep many men silent, even in relationships where love is strong. The ability to express desires freely also speaks to the importance of trust. Men crave the assurance that their partner will not use their honesty against them or view them differently for sharing it. Trust provides the foundation where they can reveal parts of themselves that they have perhaps never shown anyone else. When a partner responds with curiosity, openness, and kindness, it communicates acceptance. That acceptance transforms the dynamic of intimacy, making it not only about satisfying needs, but also about building a safe and explorative connection. The knowledge that their partner is willing to listen rather than judge makes men feel respected and valued in the most personal way. When men do not have the freedom to express desires, intimacy can become one-dimensional. They may go through the motions, but something vital is missing. Over time, this creates a gap between what they experience and what they truly long for. That gap can lead to distance, resentment, or a sense of being unseen. Conversely, when they are given the freedom to voice their desires without fear, intimacy becomes a richer and more fulfilling experience. It creates a bond where both partners can grow, adapt, and discover new layers of connection together. The desire for expression is not always about grand or unusual fantasies. Sometimes it is as simple as wanting to slow down, asking for more affection, or sharing the need for tenderness in a particular moment. By being able to speak these things openly, men feel acknowledged as human beings with complex emotional and physical needs. This freedom helps them feel less alone in their thoughts, reminding them that intimacy is not a performance but a partnership. What they crave is not just permission to express themselves, but encouragement, a partner who creates an environment where it feels natural to share. At the heart of this craving lies the universal human need for acceptance. Men want to know that their innermost thoughts and desires will not push someone away, but will instead draw them closer. When they experience that freedom, it deepens trust, enhances passion, and strengthens love. Intimacy becomes more than just a physical act. It evolves into a safe space where both partners can be honest, adventurous, and truly themselves without fear. For men, that freedom to express desires is not only liberating, but also the key to creating intimacy that feels genuine and lasting. Reciprocity and enthusiasm are central to what men crave during intimacy, yet they rarely put this into words. At the core, men want to feel that the experience is shared, that their partner is not only present but also enjoying the moment with them. Intimacy loses its depth when it feels one-sided, when one person is giving while the other is only enduring. Men may not admit it, but they long for visible, genuine engagement. They want to know that their presence excites their partner, that their touch is welcome, and that the connection is not a duty, but a choice born of desire. Reciprocity in intimacy does not mean a strict balance of actions or an even exchange measured moment by moment. Rather, it is about a feeling of mutual investment. When a man gives affection, care, or attention, he wants to sense that it is being returned in ways that matter. This could be through touch, expression, or simply the willingness to be fully engaged. It is the reassurance that intimacy is not something he is carrying alone, but a shared experience where both partners are contributing. That sense of balance makes intimacy more than just a physical act. It makes it a partnership where both people feel valued. Enthusiasm, on the other hand, breathes life into the connection. Men crave the feeling that their partner is not only participating, but also genuinely excited to be there. Subtle cues like body language, responsiveness, or verbal affirmations can make all the difference. When enthusiasm is present, it communicates more than words ever could. It tells him that his partner desires him, that the experience is bringing joy to them as well, and that the bond they share is not just physical but emotional. Without enthusiasm, even the most technically perfect moments can feel empty. With it, even the simplest gestures become powerful. The absence of reciprocity and enthusiasm can create insecurity. A man may start to question whether his partner is truly interested or whether they are simply tolerating the intimacy. This doubt chips away at his confidence and makes him hesitant to express himself fully. Over time, if he repeatedly feels that his efforts are not reciprocated, intimacy begins to lose its meaning. What once felt exciting now becomes a space of quiet worry or disappointment. On the contrary, when reciprocity and enthusiasm are present, they build trust and deepen attraction. They create an environment where he feels secure enough to give more of himself without fear of rejection or indifference. This craving also speaks to a deeper emotional truth. Men want to feel chosen. They want to believe that their partner is with them not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. Enthusiasm proves this in a way nothing else can. It shows that the connection is alive, that the spark is mutual, and that intimacy is an experience both partners look forward to. Reciprocity ensures that he is not the only one carrying the weight of keeping the relationship passionate. Together, they create a rhythm of giving and receiving that keeps the bond strong and fulfilling. At its core, the desire for reciprocity and enthusiasm reflects a man's need to feel valued and desired as much as he values and desires his partner. It is not about performance or perfection, but about the authenticity of shared connection. Men may rarely voice this need directly, but it shapes their experience of intimacy more than they admit. When reciprocity and enthusiasm are present, intimacy becomes a celebration of love and passion rather than an obligation. It transforms the moment into something deeply satisfying, where both partners feel wanted, appreciated, and fully alive in each other's presence. At the heart of it all, what men crave during intimacy goes far beyond the surface. They may not often say it, but they long for emotional safety, validation, connection beyond the physical, affection without expectation, the freedom to express desires, and the reassurance of reciprocity and enthusiasm. These needs are not about ego or performance, but about feeling seen, wanted, and accepted for who they truly are. When these unspoken desires are met, intimacy transforms from a simple physical act into a profound exchange of trust, love, and authenticity. It becomes a space where both partners can put down their masks, where vulnerability is not a weakness, but the very foundation of connection. And in that space, men don't just feel loved, they feel understood, cherished, and complete.